Hey everyone, ready to jump into the world of cloud computing with us today? It's one of those things, everyone's talking about it, but really understanding what it is and how it works, that's a whole other story. And that's what we're here for, right? To do the real deep dive.
Absolutely. And the article we're looking at today from the Cloud Institute does a great job, I think, of laying out the different ways businesses are actually using the cloud, because it's more than just a buzzword. It's changing how everything gets done.
For sure. So the article jumps right into these three acronyms: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. I'll admit the first time I saw those, it was a bit overwhelming.
Like alphabet soup.
Exactly. But once you break it down, it's not as complicated as it seems. Let's start with IaaS infrastructure as a service. Any thoughts on that one to kick us off?
Well, think about it this way. Before the cloud, if a business needed to run its operations, it needed a lot of physical stuff, right? Servers, networks, the whole 9 yards. IaaS is like renting all of that from a provider instead of owning it yourself.
So instead of having all that bulky hardware in their office, businesses are basically renting space on someone else's supercomputer in the cloud.
Exactly. They get all the computing power they need, but without the headaches of managing the physical equipment.
So what's the big advantage there? Why are businesses making the switch?
Well, a big part of it is flexibility. It's like renting an apartment versus owning a house. You can upsize or downsize depending on your needs. With IaaS, if a business suddenly needs more power for a project, boom, they spin up more servers on demand. Project's over. Scale back down, just like that. Pay as you go.
That makes a lot of sense, especially in today's business world where everything moves so fast.
Yeah.
And the article also mentioned that IaaS gives businesses a lot of control over how their cloud setup actually works.
Oh, absolutely. With IaaS, you get to choose your operating systems, databases, applications. You're essentially building your own custom IT setup, but in the cloud. It's like having a blank canvas.
Okay, so with IaaS, we're getting those core building blocks, the raw materials for our cloud world. But let's say a business wants to take things a step further without, having to build everything from scratch. That's where PaaS comes in, right?
Yeah.
Platform as a service.
Exactly. If IaaS is like getting the raw materials, PaaS is more like getting a pre-built house frame. You still have the flexibility to design and customize, but the basic structure is already there.
So instead of businesses having to set up their own servers, databases, all of that, PaaS gives them a ready-made platform specifically designed for developing and running applications.
That's it. It's like a developer's dream toolkit with everything they need to build and launch their apps quickly and efficiently.
The article specifically mentions PaaS being a great fit for things like web applications and mobile apps. What makes it so well suited for that?
Well, PaaS providers often tailor their platforms for specific types of development, providing the tools and environments that are already optimized for those use cases.
So it's about having the right tools for the job, already set up and ready to go.
Exactly. And another big advantage of PaaS, which the article touches on, is scalability. Let's say your app suddenly explodes in popularity. With PaaS, you can easily scale up your resources to handle that increased demand without having to manage all the technical details yourself.
That's got to be a huge relief for businesses, especially in those early stages when things can change so rapidly.
Yeah.
But with all this talk about pre-configured environments and ready-made tools, is there a risk of sacrificing creativity or customization?
It's a good question, but I think PaaS actually strikes a really nice balance there. It provides a structured foundation, but still allows for a lot of flexibility and customization.
So we've talked about building our own cloud infrastructure with the IaaS, getting a little head start with the prefab environment of PaaS. But what about those times when you just want the finished product, ready to go, no assembly required?
Exactly, yeah. That's where SaaS comes in, software as a service.
The article gives the examples of Google Workspace, Microsoft Office 365. Those are things I think most people use them every day without even really thinking, oh, this is SaaS.
It's true. Email, productivity suites, project management tools, so many things are moving to that SaaS model. And the great thing is, it just works. You don't need to be a tech expert to figure it out.
Exactly. And the article talks about how this levels the playing field, especially for smaller businesses. They don't have to invest in expensive software installations or worry about constantly updating things. It's all handled for them, right?
Right, and that can be a huge burden lifted, especially for startups or smaller companies that really want to focus on their core product, their core service.
It's like the difference between, I don't know, having a home library versus subscribing to a streaming service, right? You've always got the latest. You don't have to worry about shelving space. It's all there.
That's a great analogy. And another key point their article makes is about how SaaS can help businesses be more agile. Because they're not tied to specific hardware or software installations, they can adapt to changing market conditions much faster.
Which, in today's world, that's essential.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, with SaaS, is there a risk of businesses becoming too reliant on one particular provider?
It's definitely something to be aware of, and the article touches on that as well. Vendor lock-in is a valid concern, and businesses need to carefully consider those long-term implications.
So as with everything, it's about finding the right balance, right?
Mhm.
Weighing the benefits and the risks.
For sure. And I think this deep dive has really highlighted that there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to the cloud. ES, PaaS, SaaS, they all have their own strengths, and it's about finding the right fit for each individual business.
It's been such a fascinating conversation, and for our listeners, I hope this has given you a clearer picture of what cloud computing really is, how businesses are using it, and some of those broader implications to think about.
Absolutely. Because as we rely more and more on the cloud, those questions about data security, privacy, even the environmental impact of those massive data centers, those become even more important.
So much to consider. To all our listeners out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What questions do you have about the future of the cloud? Head over to our website, leave a comment, join the conversation. Until next time, keep exploring those big ideas.